One more time. We back again, family. We got a nice piece tonight. Tonight's show is called Fixin' Two When One is Broke. When we say fixing two when one is broke, we want to talk about, of course, our relationships. You know, that's what we do here at the Clipper Dome Chronicles. We hear that term a lot. We've heard it over the years. I'm fixing to go to the store. I'm fixing to work out. I'm fixing to go to work. I'm fixing to get something to eat. I'm fixing to go hang out with my friends. I'm fixing to go out of town. I'm fixing to when one could be broke. We know that most of the time in our relationships, we start out with optimism. We start out with seeing the future. We start out with seeing some promise. But we know that most of our relationships end in failure. So what we want to do, because we start out optimistic, we start out looking at success. We start out in our relationships thinking that all is going to be well because we're fixing to have a successful relationship, but we know that failure is usually the outcome. So now we want to talk about how and why maybe we usually fail. So we don't want to fix two because we first have to do the first thing first. Okay. So we're going to give a couple of scenarios. We know that statistically that most of our relationships end in failure. We've read the books, we've heard the documentaries, we've seen the movies, we've heard people, we've seen the podcasts, we've seen our families, we've been through things ourselves. We go in optimistic, and usually the outcome is negative. So we go in with that optimism, and then we come out usually devastated. We come out broken. We come out traumatized. We come out with a setback. And then it's things we carry into our next relationship. So we want to use an example, maybe a young lady. She's getting dressed up. She's doing her hair and nails, or she went and got her hair done. She's fixing her face. She's picking out her outfit. She could have her mom, her grandmother, her girlfriend, her sister could be there trying to help her get together. They're looking at success. They're looking at possibly maybe marriage, possibly maybe a baby, possibly maybe these two being together, moving in together, and having this fruitful, healthy relationship down the road. That is the aftermath. But first, we need to look at what did they do to prepare that young lady for this date, for this success? Did they give her the tools and the resources that she needed to prepare her to be successful? Did they prepare her to be able to fix the two? Did they fix the one first? So did we take care of that young lady? Did we give her what she needed? Is she healthy, of a sound mind? Does she have a good, healthy outlook of what a healthy relationship is? Is it about us, we and ours, or is it about her, mine's, and I? That is how we approach our relationships. We can do the same thing with a young man. He's fixing to go out on a successful night out with this young lady. He is fixing to. He probably called his boys. He told them, hey, man, I'm getting dressed. I'm going to the barbershop. I'm going to go get a haircut. He going to go home. He going to get clean, right? He getting ready to go out and hit the town, go pick up the young lady or go meet her somewhere, however they do it. He's fixing to. But did he do the first thing first? Did he take care of himself? Did his boys help him to realize what his shortcomings are? Did he get his boys to help him understand that young lady or that woman and her needs and what she's going to be expecting of him on this date? And then furthermore, does he understand that fixing two is that young lady is probably going on that date looking for an outcome, looking for marriage, looking for a relationship, looking for a time when they can be together. So when we do that fixing two, did we take care of the one first? So we got that young man. He's getting dressed up. He's getting clean. He's go out on his successful date. But did he prepare himself? Did he do the first thing first? Did he fix the one, which is himself? Did he get those tools and those resources? Does he have what it takes to understand that young lady? Does he have what it takes to have that communication? Because communication is usually lost in translation. So we want to make sure that we're not fixing two when one could be broke. I talk to a lot of young ladies. I have 10 years of research, okay? What I do is research-based information. I don't give my opinion. I'm giving you what people have taught me over the last 10 years and over the last 30 years in the barbershop and the hair salon, but specifically the last 10 when I did the research. We had to first, I started taping it. After I heard the responses, then I started writing it down. And then after I wrote it down and I taped it, then I started holding forums. So then I had men and women come together in different parts of the country. We do different cities. We do churches, do universities. I've spoken at different places at different times to try to hold these forums to try to get this information so that I can sit down and give it to you. So the name of this video today is I don't want to have us fixing two when one is broke. So when I talked to the ladies, I sat down and gathered this information. A lot of the young ladies go get their graduate degrees. They get their masters, perhaps they double masters or PhD. This is beautiful. Now, this is good, ladies. This is stellar. This is groundbreaking. This is going to revolutionize the women. It's going to empower the women. They're able to take care of themselves. They can gain their independence. They can hold their own, and they're financially secure. This is a good thing. The brothers aren't down in this. We're not downplaying it. We want to hold y'all high. We're going to put you on the top shelf, sis. We applaud that. When I talk to my sisters, what I have been getting back on the research is after they come to me and they say, well, hey, Dennis, I heard what you said, but it's really, really hard to give up the keys at this point because now that I'm self-sufficient, now that I'm independent, now that I have my education, now I have to sit down with this man. Because before, she was thinking about I, me, and mines. She did not include a man in that plan when she was trying to get her degree. When I asked my sisters who have their degrees and their graduate degrees, I said, well, why did you go to school? They said that I could take care of me and my children. When I asked the men, why did they go to school? They said I could take care of myself, me, and my family. So these are two different answers, ladies. This is a lot of times why the real men, the real brothers, the brothers that step up to the plate, the ones that can do, can produce, and can perform. This is why they cannot let you lead. This is not a negative. I just don't think that it is your position in your place. I don't think that it's organic in your nature for you to come and take care of a man. So when my sisters tell me that it's hard for them to give up the keys, when they tell me that it's hard for them to submit to a man, when they tell me it's hard for them to sit down and come to a meeting of the minds and do the us, we, ours, and our us, we, ours, instead of the collective, they go to the me, I, and mines. So now, fellas, we got to understand what his mindset is coming from. We got to respect that the sister has worked hard. She put her time in. She paid for her degree. She did the work. Now she's out in the workforce. She's doing her thing. So now we have to respect that. But ladies, there is another side. So when we want to fix two, the one could be broke. So my sisters that tell me, they say, Dennis, it's hard for me to give up the keys or give up that control in my relationship and hand this off to a man. Ladies, you have to go back to my second video on the Clipperdome Chronicles page and find out what we deem a man to be. A man is a protector and a provider. A man will govern and not control. Governing means sitting down with his woman, sitting down with his unit, whoever is in his house, in his kingdom, and trying to find out what the needs are and what's the best moves to make so that we can travel down that path so that we can execute on those goals. So fellas, when they say that the woman can't give up the keys, it's because she's worked hard to try to get some sense of balance and security in her life, because it's her in her organic nature is for her to feel secure. All she's trying to do, fellas, is be secure. She is not trying to take the power and control from you, but that's what end up happening. It ends up that she can't submit and she can't sit down and govern with you because now she has her security. And now that is what she's replacing us with. So we have to understand her core nature. Now, she's fixing to go to school. She's fixing to buy a house. She's fixing to buy a car. She's fixing to take a trip. But now today, most of them are fixing to do that by themselves. So they're missing the one. The first one is to get her man. And then she can do all these things from a more healthy standpoint at a much faster rate and a much faster pace if we deal with the one first. First things first. Fixing two when one is broke. This is where we're focusing at today. We could talk about the things that we know. We can have an engineer. He can show you how to build, he or she. They can show you how to build. They can tell you what they do. They can give you the specs. They can break it down from an engineer's perspective of how things work, how things are built. They could talk about this all day because that is the area that they have expertise in. That is the area where they are experienced. We could look at the same thing with the mechanic. A mechanic can show you how to fix a car. You can, back in the day, there was a mechanic, you could just turn the car over and they could tell you what was wrong with it, depending on the make or the model that car was. Now, that is coming from experience. They could talk about that all day. Our doctors, they can give us medical advice. They can tell us how the medical profession works. They could tell us about the different tools and instruments that they use. They could talk about this all day. Ladies and gentlemen, what you are good at, you can talk about that in length and in detail. But the things, when we usually get in trouble in our life, I want to ask you a question. Do we usually get in trouble for the things that we know or the things that we don't know? I'm going to ask that one more time. In your life, the biggest problems, the biggest trials and tribulations, the biggest obstacles that you've had, did it come from the things that you know or the things that you did not know? So that is that question that I want to ask you. And usually I have found that through the research, most people, they'll expound on the things that they know, but then they don't really have an answer to be able to say, hey, I don't know this information. I don't understand. I'm ignorant to those facts or that information. And ignorance just means lack of knowledge. It is not a negative word, ladies and gentlemen. So we can expound on the things that we know. We can talk about that all day. But what about the things that we do not know? Okay. So that's we fixing to be a doctor. We're fixing to be a mechanic. We're fixing to be a nurse. We're fixing to be an engineer. We're fixing to go out of town. We're fixing to buy a house. We're fixing to do all of these things. But first things are first. So I just wanted to touch on that just a little bit today because the name of this video is called Fixing 2 When 1 Could Be Broke. We want to go off into our mental health piece. We did get with the sheriff's department. We have a lot of good stuff coming up, y'all, from that mental health perspective. So I got to keep some things on the wraps. I'm waiting on my brother to call me back before we start releasing some things. So we're going to start moving around. We're going to become mobile. We're going to start doing what we started to do with our forums when we have our men's meetings, when we had the ladies just meeting. So we're going to start doing our little mixers. So we're going to start moving around and doing some different things. So I just wanted to put this one out here today. I just want y'all to take this. I want you to test this. I want you to try this. Take it to the barbershop or take it to the hair salon. Take it to the job or take it to the church. Remember, you don't have to like it, believe it, or understand it. Sometimes you just have to respect it. This is the Clipper Dome Chronicles. Thank you.